Hello. So it's winter and my cassava is almost ready to harvest. It's getting pretty big. It's pretty tall. So right behind me I have the cassava. And I have a few of these in my yard. I got these from cuttings. So I ordered some cuttings on Etsy and stuck them around my yard. And I have a few of these plants. I'll show those off. So I'm excited to have some cassava. As you can see, I have some sugar beet growing right next to it. But this is my cassava. I find it interesting that it likes to get to a certain point and then it branches out. This is my first time ever growing cassava, so I'm not an expert or anything on it, but I've been able to grow it this far. Have yet to harvest. Harvesting is pretty easy, by the way. You basically just pull it up, grab it by the stem near the base, pull it up. I'm probably just gonna leave them. I'm gonna use this as like an emergency, things hit the fan, if you know what I mean, and we need food. I can dig these tubers up and use those for food. But the harvest is pretty easy. Once you pull the whole thing out, you'll have some big tubers sticking off the bottom, and then this entire stem can be chopped into sections. You just usually have you'll probably want a few of these leaf positions called nodes. And I would probably say, 4 or 5 leaf positions would be plenty, more than enough. And you take those chunks and just stick them into the ground. I like to plant them vertically. I've heard people say that they get a higher yield if you plant them horizontally, and I tried that, and they just rotted in the soil. So that does not work in Zone 9B in Arizona, at least in my particular yard. Maybe it works in other people's, and maybe my soil was too wet, I'm not sure. But I know when I plant them vertically with a small section sticking out of the ground, they work perfectly well. Every single one that I planted vertically grew, and 0% of the ones that I planted horizontally grew. So this is the way I do them now. And you'll see that the leaves are starting to yellow a little bit. That didn't happen until I had my temperatures drop below 50s at night. So I've had a few nights where they drops into the 40s at night, now that I'm in December. And so I'll get a little bit of that yellowing occurring. And I'm betting that's just because of that cold. Just a little bit of cold damage. No frost yet, but it's gotten cold enough that I've put a sweatshirt on. Right now it's, December 8th, and it's about 71 degrees at 4:30 in the evening. So it's still pretty nice. This is like perfect weather in my opinion. So I feel like a little warmer. Ooh. This little bee looks like it's sleeping. This is probably not a good place to sleep. On a moringa flower. Maybe it is a good place to sleep. Little sleepyhead. Probably should be back in the hive, buddy. So anyway, cassava. This is probably, I would guess, 7 feet tall. I'll do a few Google searches and see what's normal. Let me show you all. Show another one. All right, here's another one. And this has a tomato plant right at its base. I actually chaos seeded some seeds from some giant tomatoes I got from the grocery store, and I didn't even think they were gonna grow. And finally a plant came up. I was thinking it was a cherry tomato, because last year, this is my cherry tomato from last year. It like perennialized and never died, and it's been just yielding tomatoes all year round. So I figured this was like some type of offshoot from that, but nope. I have these massive tomatoes, so it must have been some of those giant tomatoes seeds that I just kind of chucked all over the garden. I have one coming up here and then over here. But anyway, again, cassava. And I love these red stems, these red petioles, whatever they're called. I just think that's gorgeous. So if you're thinking about planting cassava, I highly recommend the red leaf stems, the red petioles, I think is what they're called. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. And again, a little bit of cold damage. Notice on the leaves, a little bit of yellowing. From my experience, that's normal in the winter. And I have one more that's done pretty well. Well, I'll show off this little baby one. This one has a little bit of cover from this passion fruit slash water spinach that's kind of covering it up a little bit. I'll kind of pull these back a little bit and they just keep on coming back. But yeah, another red petiole cassava. Hey buddy. He's a good boy. He's a very friendly puppy. And then last one. You'll notice this one has green stem. I believe this variety is a little more tropical because it's taken so much damage from the cold. Like, soon as the temperature dropped below 70, I started seeing yellowing, and then, I mean, all the leaves look like they're wilting. So this particular variety does not like these cooler weathers. It does not like temperatures below 60. So I don't really know if these have names. If you know what these different types of cassava, there's probably tons of different varieties of cassava. So I don't know if it's identifiable just by looking at the wilted leaves, but this is another, I ordered cuttings from a few different people on Etsy just because I wasn't sure what I was going to get. So I'm happy I did, because it's interesting to compare the different varieties. Eventually when I harvest, I'm going to compare the flavor of the different varieties and see if there's a difference in flavor of the cassava root. I lived in South America and they prepared it similar to the way we prepare potatoes. So I'll probably try that, try frying it, try mashing it, things like that. See how it turns out. So cassava, tropical plant, you can easily grow in Arizona, Zone 9B. So if you're interested in some sustainable slash things hit the fan plants, those are some options. Thanks for watching.